Hey there guys, made a bit more progress. As I think I mentioned, I decided I'd try the boring head approach for a tailstock offset. So I've worked on that a little bit here, a little bit there over a few days actually. Got it together, given it a quick test, just a very rough test, and most of the explanation and description is probably within the clips when I get this put together, so I won't waffle too long. I think it's the best way to go, except there's that much difference in, well, the small unit is probably takes up about that from the tailstock, and the boring head plus a rather generous centre at the moment reduces the length I can get in, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. And in fact the two centres I've made, I can shorten those a bit, but I'm leaving plenty of space for tooling. Alright, I don't think there's anything else I was going to mention on that. Yeah, I think that's about it. So anyway, I've kept it fairly short. I didn't even bother with trying to video the silver soldering. I had stuff all over the place and I was probably too lazy to set the camera up. So I'm hoping the soldering will keep the balls in place, so to speak. And I may yet make a third one with a larger ball if I can find it, but my choice of ball bearings is very limited. It's a sort of general assortment, all sorts of sizes. Alright, so see you again before too long. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Right, we're boring this out to 1 1/8 for the quill, because this is going to be a new arbor. Still experimenting with offset, and going to use this boring head, which is a spare one I actually had set up for ball turning. So we'll get this to fit the quill, and then we'll cut that off, turn it round, and make a 7/8 by 20 thread and see where we go from there. But of course one of the problems with this approach is it's going to reduce the available length between centres, but it's something worth experimenting with, I think. Whoops, bit of chatter on the end of the cut there. Have to reset the carriage stop. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with that and try and get this bit finished. Getting close to sneaking up on it now, and I've changed to a good old HSS boring bar, which gives a slightly better cut than the other one. Getting the usual problem, slight catch on the back wall there. Just touch slightly, get that horrible chatter. Right, check that and hopefully finish off. Time to check it out. Should have left between half a thou and a thou for clearance. I've got to put a chamfer on there yet, so I'll check it out. No naughty comments this time. Yeah, that's gone full depth, about 7/8 this time. So we'll get a chamfer on there, and then we can progress to the next step, which is turn down and thread. Now just turning this down, got rather a lot to take off. We're heading down towards 7/8, so we've got quite a way to go. Well, that's enough of that. I'll bring you back a bit later. Just using the spindle handle, putting a thread relief here, fairly generous. That should do. So we're prepped for threading, which I'll probably get round to next. It's getting damn hot now. It's going to get worse the next day or two, but we'll try and get to threading this soon. 7/8 20. Just working up in increments. I haven't changed the compound. I haven't set that. I'm taking plunge cuts as it's a small thread. Pure laziness. I do find it a lot easier on a short travel using the spindle handle, much more control. I'm getting close there. I think I've got another 5 or 6 thou to go. I think it's time I emptied the chip tray there, isn't it? Right, let's check this, see how we go. Using the spindle handle again, it's ever so convenient. It's just a tiny bit tight, or let's say firm. And I think I need to face off just a tiny bit on the nose of that thread, or after a half inch in there, and I think this is perhaps just a few thou too big, so we'll trim that off. And then the next thing really is just to make a centre for this. Now I want to make a ball centre, but I'm not sure what ball bearings I've got and how I'm going to set them in. Somebody else used a ball end mill to make a cup. I'm not sure I've got a ball end small enough, but we'll see on that. Just want to find out how much we've got to face off to get this back on the shoulder. Now this is that's going in, and that isn't. It's actually a bit more than I expected, but I did leave it generous. Looks like about 13 thou got to come off there. Right, that should do the trick. Let's check it again. I've got to put a bit more chamfer back on there. A bit of, and I'll clean that up. Let's see what we got there. So thin, these other ones. I'm pretty sure I've actually taken off about 2 thou extra. Yep, shining a light there on the ways, and that's good. Okay, chamfer back on there, and then we can take this out. Incidentally, I was going to mention I'm not drilling the engagement hole yet for the keyway in the quill until this is finalized, and then I can set it up and mark up to get the exact position. We've got to actually set this up perfectly on the horizontal to get the position for the locking screw. I don't know whether you'll see the indicator. I'm just trying to find horizontal. Now we're mounted on the quill. I can't lock it yet, but I'm going for, I mean, this is very, very close, so I've got to find a way now to find center on the arbor, shall we say. Try and work that out. Well, this isn't super accurate, but I'm just working across the outside of the arbor, looking for the center, which is going to get me pretty close. So I think we'll make a mark for that. It's going to be very, very close. Well, this took a little bit of setting up. I'm hoping we're good. Trying to take care and avoid boo-boos. I'm just going to put a spotting drill down. Now I get set up for a tapping drill. Now I'll put some chamfer on that and then get a tap started. I'm only going for a start on the tap, and I'll finish that by hand unless it goes right through. I'm not sure. I'll probably lose grip on the chuck. Getting loads of shadow on there. That'll do. It's just enough so I get a good start. Right, we'll finish that off. I finished tapping that, and I think I said before I'm using the engagement locking screw from the small unit that we made. So I'm checking for horizontal, and fortunately by giving a slight tap it's coming out pretty good. Again, you may not see the indicator, but probably by a matter of luck, when I tap this to cinch up the thread just a bit more, set that to 0 again, so it looks as though that's actually it's almost more by luck than judgment. It just took a couple of taps on the this piece of bar. So if I leave it set up like that until I need the boring head for something else, we should be alright. Well, this is an odd bit of 1/2 inch which I've used for various purposes, but I looked amongst my ball bearings and most of them are just random assortment, and I found this one which is 3.5mm. So by drilling a, hoping this is sharp showing up, by drilling a 9/64 hole sufficient to take the ball, oh, and it's going to fall out, sufficient to take the ball to basically half diameter in depth, and then turn the sides here to a regular 60 taper. The only thing is, one of the YouTubers, Dudley Toolwright, he was making some ball end, ball bearing centres I should say, and he was finding that he wasn't getting the strength, although he was silver soldering. So I'm going to try that first and see whether the ball will stay in place. The other balls I've got, there's 4mm, 4.5mm, but there's no drill that's really quite close enough, but I may try that. This ball's a little bit small. Actually, I just checked, a 4.5mm would just go into a number 15 hole. We might even try that, but we'll take this one down a bit further first of all. Probably got to go down a bit further. Let's put a bit of rag down there to catch the ball, which I'll certainly drop. Well, that's just staying in place. You won't see it from the top. It looks like I need to take about another thou off there. Now that size ball would probably suffice for a very small centre hole. So I think I'll perhaps try and solder this one and then repeat and make one for 4.5mm, see how we get on. I'm trying to keep focus on this. I'm making another one, and that's a 4.5mm. I've just got to tweak that a little bit. The general fit is actually pretty good. I've just got to take another couple of passes, and I think the larger ball will probably do better. Right, well I've skipped quite a few stages just to speed things up. There's the arbor we've made, and I took that out of the little one. So that goes nicely on the quill of the tailstock. And I think in a previous clip, if I remember, I was setting this up for horizontal and got it pretty much spot on, and that's how it is at the moment, the way I've left it. Now I've got two centres, and I've got a lot of stick out which I may well reduce. And the ends look a bit messy because of the having had heat on here. I actually used some silver solder paste, but even using that I had to put a lot of heat in. So what we've got is, to remind you from earlier, we've got a 3.5 which went into a 964 hole. I didn't have any milling cutters, ball end, that would do the job, so I made do with drill. In fact, there's still a bit of silver solder on this one, which I haven't fully cleaned off, because in heating, of course, what's in the hole tends to bubble out, so it gets a little bit messy. There's a bit of marking on these pieces actually, because I had the flame was not quite carburizing enough, so it was a little bit hot. Anyway, I'm hoping that they've taken. So it's a 3.5mm and 4.5mm into number 15 hole. Got a lot of machining marks still showing on these tapers, but no matter. So all I'm going to do now is just to set this up as a sort of dummy it up. And what I will do, I ought to come in close. This is the test piece. It's the test piece that I had from the previous testing of the small unit. There's plenty of scope for that being adequate, and the 4.5mm is probably slightly better. Sorry, I should have come in close to show you, but anyway, these balls will permit a large offset. Yeah, I've just thrown this old piece back in from previous use. By eye, it looks as though centre on the boring head is close. I haven't put an indicator on. Seems to be running pretty true. If I crank it across to somewhere like where I did the Morse taper, I'm going by eye now, just looking at the lining up with the ways, and just check that for make sure that's tight. And that's using the 4.5 ball. Now of course it depends how much how deep you go with the centre drill, how deep or not, which ball will probably do best. I think at the moment this one is just about ideal. And just check, I'm just trying to see in there. Yes, in fact this centre hole is a little bit deep, probably. Just a bit deep, so in future I would probably make a smaller, shallower. Now here's a close look. You won't see the detail that I can see, but we've actually got, having cleared the oil out of here, I can see the clearance. Hang on, here comes the head in the way. Yep, I can see a clearance between the taper and the centre hole. So the ball is bearing inside that. Text message. So I could actually go up a larger ball size, but I'm going to see how it works out. And the boring head gives nice adjustment options. Let's take that back to where roughly, that would probably roughly be centre. And that's it. Whether I have a taper to turn for real, I don't know yet. Probably not for a while. But I'm quite pleased with that. I think it's better than the small unit. So I'm going to call that. I'm going to call that done, I think, at the moment, and get on to something else.